The Storm Beneath the Smile, a real story of anxiety. The story of Reverend Chris Jones. Everyone saw Reverend Chris Jones as the man who never wavered, the pastor with the steady voice, the warm handshake, the smile that made people believe everything was going to be all right. But what no one knew was that the smile wasn't confidence, it was camouflage. Behind that calm expression lived a storm he didn't know how to explain, a storm he didn't think pastors were allowed to have. While he carried the church, anxiety was quietly carrying him, and every Sunday he stood in front of people with a smile that hid a battle he was fighting alone. If you suffer with anxiety, then you know what it feels like. Are you wearing a mask to hide your pain? My name is Ember. I welcome you to Freedom from Darkness to Deliverance Ministries. Some storms roar on the outside, and then some storms rage quietly within. For Reverend Jones, anxiety wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself. It didn't show up in ways people could see. It lived beneath the surface, beneath the sermons, beneath the leadership, beneath the smile he wore like armor. He knew how to encourage others. He knew how to pray for others. He knew how to stand strong for others. But he didn't know how to admit that he was struggling himself. Because pastors aren't supposed to feel this way, right? That's what he told himself. That's what kept him silent. That's what kept the storm hidden. It started with small things. A little tension in his chest, a little heaviness in his thoughts, a little fear that didn't make sense. But anxiety doesn't stay small. It grows quietly. It spreads silently. It tightens slowly. And Reverend Jones carried that tightening for months. He preached through it. He counseled through it. He smiled through it. But inside, the storm was getting stronger. One evening, long after the church lights were off and the parking lot was empty, the storm finally broke through the smile. Reverend Jones sat alone in his office, staring at the same Bible he had preached from earlier that day. But this time, the words felt distant. His thoughts were loud, his chest was tight, his breath was shallow. He tried to pray, but the words wouldn't come. He tried to calm himself, but the fear kept rising. He tried to stay strong, but strength felt like something he no longer had. For the first time in his ministry, he felt like he was losing control. Not of the church, not of his calling, but of himself. He leaned forward, elbows on his desk, hands trembling, and whispered, "God, I don't know how much longer I can carry this." It wasn't a sermon. It wasn't a polished prayer. It wasn't something he would ever say publicly. It was raw. It was honest. It was the truth. And heaven listens to truth. In that moment, something shifted. Not outside of him, but inside. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a miracle that made the room glow. It was presence. A quiet presence. A steady presence. A presence strong enough to hold him together while he was falling apart inside. Reverend Jones didn't suddenly feel healed. He didn't suddenly feel fearless. He didn't suddenly feel like the storm was gone. But he felt held. And sometimes, being held is the beginning of healing. Over the next weeks, Reverend Jones learned something he had preached for years but never truly lived. God doesn't wait for strong moments to show up. He steps into the weak ones. He learned that anxiety doesn't disqualify calling. He learned that fear doesn't erase anointing. He learned that storms don't scare God, even silent ones. He learned that pastors are human, leaders are human, strong people are human, and humans need help. Healing didn't come overnight. It came slowly, quietly, faithfully. Some days were victories. Some days were setbacks. Some days he felt steady. Some days he felt fragile. But every day, God met him in the storm. Now, Reverend Jones speaks to you, not as a pastor, not as a leader, but as a man who knows what it feels like to hide anxiety behind a smile. If you've been carrying a storm no one sees, if you've been pretending to be okay because people depend on you, if you've been smiling while your heart is trembling, if you've been functioning while your mind is fighting, hear him clearly. You are not alone. You are not weak. You are not failing. You are not invisible. Your storm is real, but so is your God. Anxiety may be loud, but it cannot drown out his voice. Fear may be strong, but it cannot overpower his presence. Your thoughts may race, but his peace can still reach you. You are held. You are seen. You are carried. You are loved. And the same God who walked Reverend C. Jones through his silent storm can walk you through yours. So when the storm rises again, and it might, don't hide it. Don't fear it. Don't pretend it isn't there. Just breathe. Just pause. Just whisper the prayer he whispered. God, be with me in this storm. He will. He always does. Because anxiety may be a silent storm, but heaven is not silent. Here at Freedom from Darkness to Deliverance, we invite all to join this family of believers, and let's all work together to help others who are facing hardships. Until next time, this is Ember saying, stay strong and remember, deliverance is just a prayer away.